And if you are suffering with gut pain and the associated issues that come with diagnoses like colitis and Crohn's disease and IBS, then you are going to want to stick around for the next 30 minutes or so, because today's guest is going to give us some tools that are going to help change the way we feel right away. So, does that sound good? Awesome. All right, because you are going to love this guy. Today's guest is Dr. Larry Frieder, and he's a man that I have been inspired by from afar for years. And I'm actually really excited to just get to know him and get to talk to him a little bit in this interview and be able to put these ideas out there for all of you. Dr. Frieder is a chiropractor in Boulder, Colorado, and he has a really fantastic practice. He works with elite athletes. These are the people that you see on the cover of Outside Magazine. And Larry keeps these people going. So through their hard training, Larry is the guy that they come to. And what I didn't know about Larry until recently is that in 1973, so like a lifetime ago for many of us, he was diagnosed with Crohn's disease. And in 1973, Crohn's disease was not part of the modern conversation. It was not something people were talking about. You probably couldn't even get gluten-free foods anywhere, right? So he has spent most of his life working with the symptoms of all of that gut pain stuff, all of the gut dysbiosis, the things that hurt after you eat. And so when I think of somebody who can manage making a great life, building an amazing business, and dealing with all of this stuff, Dr. Larry Frieder comes to mind as an expert that I want to hear from. So, Larry, thank you for being here. As I said, I'm really, honestly, so thankful, grateful that you agreed to be my guest today, and so happy to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you. It's my honor to be here.
Oh, that's so cool. So, first, I have a couple of questions for you, just to kind of get to know you a little bit. One of the big ones is, what does enlightened gut mean to you? And the second is, how did that come to be? And I expect that the two things are really closely intertwined. But before you start, I want to tell our readers, or our listeners, I'm used to interviewing people for a newspaper, our listeners a little bit about the Enlightened Gut. This is a program that Dr. Larry does that is all about digestive health, and the logo for this thing is the poop emoji doing meditation. So, I mean, how do you not like the guy, right? So, Larry, if you will, tell us what this is all about and how it came to be.
Well, it came to be from my own personal life and experience. Diagnosed at the age of 11 with Crohn's disease. And at the time, it didn't even have a name. And it was just the beginning of this whole, decades-long epidemic in autoimmune diseases. And at the time, they had no idea what to do. Really very few drugs except for steroids, which I was put on a lot over the years. And I remember even at the age of 11, I was asking the doctor, what about food? What can I do to eat? What can I do for myself? And his answer was, there's nothing proven. Diet has nothing to do with it, which even at 11 sounded really odd to me, right? That you can have ulcerations in the gut, and it doesn't matter if you eat a chili cheese dog or ice cream or whatever. It just didn't make sense. And that's the way it is today. Unbelievably, I have clients, and I look on all these different IBS and IBD support groups, and their doctors are still telling patients diet has nothing to do with it. Some have some insight into it, wow. But what they're saying is take these intense immune suppressing drugs, and then you can live a life of normalness and eat whatever you want. And there's so little responsibility for your own health and your own wellness. And you end up in this victim mentality, not victim, as an insult to the patient, but victim in that this is what is being fostered in this medical model is you just do what we tell you to do, take these drugs, and you can just ignore this problem forever or
Wow.
until the drugs stop working.
Wow.
And so with that, it really motivated me to learn more about how to treat myself. And it motivated me to become a chiropractor and an acupuncturist and to study nutrition. Eventually, I got into Buddhism and learned meditation and found a ton of benefits with meditation. And then I met my wife, Macy, and she turned me onto Kundalini Yoga, and I became a Kundalini Yoga teacher. And all along the way, learning how to treat myself, how to take responsibility for my own illness, and to try and not take on these beliefs that were given to me as a child. Beliefs like, you're going to have this for the rest of your life. There's nothing you can do about this. Diet has nothing to do with it. These were all beliefs I took on for a good portion of my life.
Right.
So through exploration, I learned differently.
Can I interrupt you for a second? Talk to me a little bit more about that, what you called the victim mentality, the victim sense, and the Western model, and why doing it for yourself is important. Why being able to do things that will help you, why that's important to all of us.
Mm-hmm. Well, over the years, I've developed a personal philosophy, which I think really embodies the enlightened gut.
Okay.
And this is that we are given these challenges in life, and I don't believe they're random.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that they're here to teach us.
Mm-hmm.
And I was given Crohn's disease, and I wrote a blog recently that said Crohn's is my guru.
I remember that.
And it's about, if it wasn't Crohn's disease, it would be something else. And to look at that and say, Mary O'Malley has a book called What's in the Way is the Way. And I just think that says it all.
Yeah.
So how can I, rather than saying, and I lived with anger and resentment about this illness for many, many years. And instead of saying, what can I learn from this? How can I learn the lessons that I need to learn about myself, about my own body, about my own self-healing, about my own spiritual practice that allows me to learn the blessings of Crohn's disease.
Wow.
And to say, okay, here is Crohn's, and it's motivated me in this entire life of healing and body awareness and compassion for others and understanding of how fear and the resentment and all that stuff that comes up with people when they have a chronic illness. And instead say, here are the lessons I need to learn so that I can gracefully work through it and live my life not through resentment, but through gratitude for what I do have. And then when the next challenge comes about, this challenge and working through it is going to help me to navigate that next challenge in life.
Wow.
So it's an awareness of not being a victim of your illness, but saying, what does this have to teach me? Listening to that, working with it, and enjoying and moving on with your life.
Wow. That's awesome. So if I'm hearing you right, I think what I heard you say is that when you turn that table to, I can do something for myself to feel better, to heal from this, then everything in your life can take on that more empowered stance of, I don't have to be a victim to everything. It's like, it's one major tool in which you can learn to meet life in an easier way.
Yeah. And you in Buddhism uses a lot of the word curious.
Uh-huh.
Instead of saying why does this happen to me, this isn't fair. Instead of saying, I'm curious. What is it about my life that set me up for this? And
Right.
what is it that I could do that can, it just lightens it up a little bit. And
It
so
does.
you're looking at things in a more curious and more experimental way about, which is kind of what life is all about, instead of being given this prison sentence of living with a chronic illness.
Right. I love that. And as you're speaking, I'm just noticing the difference in energy of the weightiness, and the energy is really dampened and heavy when you talk about you're going to live with this forever. And it's this sentence that you're stuck with versus the energy of curiosity. It lightens things up. And that has to have an impact on the physiology of the body.
Oh,
That
absolutely.
is what I would love for you to talk about next. I want to get, as I love to geek out on what's the science behind this stuff, like what's actually happening here. Can you describe the link between that feeling of curiosity and what happens in the body?
Sure. Well, all illness, all disease is about stress.
Okay.
And we have emotional stress, which is what most people think of when they're going through their crazy life and
Right.
scheduling and family and work.
Right.
So there's emotional stress, there's physical stress, things like trauma and injury, exercise, those kind of things are physical stress. And then there's chemical stress, things like your diet and hormone levels and drugs and alcohol, that kind of thing. And what I try and teach people is to identify where those stresses are in your body and what types of stresses may have triggered a autoimmune or an IBS or a gut symptom to begin with.
Wow.
And then once we've identified those, giving them tools to get out of that stress response so that the body can heal itself.
Right.
And we talked earlier about the effects of yoga on chronic illness. And so I think that's a perfect example of that link between going from victim to going to becoming an active participant in your own healing.
Right.
So I practice Kundalini yoga.
Okay.
A lot of people call it the oldest form of yoga, and it was brought to the US by Yogi Bhajan in the 60s.
Okay.
And Kundalini yoga incorporates all 5 different types of yoga. There's the asanas, or the postures that we're familiar with in a regular yoga class. There's mudra, which is finger position. We're all familiar with like Gyan mudra, channeling energy in the body. There's mantra, which is chanting, which has effects on energy and energy meridians in the body. Meditation, which all types of yoga can be considered meditation, going within, calming the mind. And pranayama, which is breath yoga.
Okay.
And pranayama is the first type of yoga that I introduce with my clients, usually within the first or second visit.
Wow.
Pranayama, or breath yoga, in addition to having mind, body, and spirit effects on the body, specifically has the scientific effect of stimulating the vagus nerve.
Okay.
The vagus nerve goes directly from the brain stem to almost every organ in the body.
Okay.
Carries calming, soothing, parasympathetic energy.
Okay.
That is what we call rest and digest nervous system. So we are the only living beings on the planet that can create stress, like emotional stress, physical stress, merely by thinking. Other animals, they're grazing in the field. All of a sudden, they're being chased by a lion. They go into this fight or flight, sympathetic nervous system.
Right.
Blood flow goes away from the organs and into the arms to fight or into the legs to run.
Okay.
And so once the animal is in safety, they shake it off, they go to parasympathetic, and they're eating, grazing again.
Okay.
We, on the other hand, can lay in bed thinking about the fight we had with our spouse, or the chewing out we got by our boss, or regrets of what we could have done, or fears of what we should be doing in the future.
Right.
That creates stress, and it creates that sympathetic arousal.
So
Same
thoughts.
Just thoughts.
Yeah. Okay.
Eating your meal while you're reading the news or watching the news on TV creates stress in the body. And so over time, when we're just in this constant chronic state of stress, that vagus nerve, which is all about calming, rest, and digest, gets lazy over time.
Okay.
So pranayama, that vagus nerve going down the back of the throat into all the organs, pranayama stimulates vagal nerve,
Okay.
increases calming, parasympathetic, rest and digest.
Okay.
It also stimulates healing. You're not into healing when you're running from the lion.
Right.
Parasympathetic is about healing, repair, eating, digesting, assimilating, absorbing. So one of the first things I introduce is pranayama because it's easy.
Yeah.
Anyone could do it with any ability. As long as you can breathe, you can usually do pranayama. And it's a great tool to start to give people the power to take back their health and do a practice on a daily basis that can start to make a real scientifically proven shift in their nervous system.
Okay. Wow. So this is reminding me of my ex-husband, who's a dear man, would always take a 15-minute cat nap after lunch. And, you know, he and I both went through chronic illness for a decade. And he always felt like the body, it takes a lot of energy to digest, and the body needed to be like calm in order to deal with lunch. And you're kind of saying a similar thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The nap is amazing after lunch. They say just a small little walk, maybe just a brief, quiet walk around the block. And to add to that, laying on your left side while you're napping also helps to hold food and digest it better in the gut.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. When you have this background sense that this is the way this thing ought to be and I don't know why, and then you get the science for it. Yeah. That always makes me happy.
So much amazing information on the vagal nerve. And there's other things called vagal hacks.
Okay.
In addition to pranayama, we stimulate the vagal nerve through gargling.
Oh, okay.
Gargling while vocalizing.
Oh, okay.
So humming while you're gargling.
Okay.
One yogic tradition, especially in Kundalini yoga, are cold showers.
Okay.
Really tone and strengthen the vagal nerve. Simply washing your face in cold water stimulates. And then any calming thing like meditation, yoga, pranayama, singing is a huge stimulation to the vagal nerve.
Awesome.
Really anything that involves creativity. When you have creative expression, you become really focused in on that activity. You know how when you're really being creative, time just sort of stands still, and you're out of that monkey mind, and you're really focused on your creative art or endeavor. And that is a beautiful time for your vagal nerve to kick in and get into that calming space.
Awesome. Wow.
All about being in a space, giving the body a break so that it's in a place where healing can occur.
That's awesome. Oh my God. Okay, so we're 20 minutes into the interview.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna bookmark this and send it out to my list. I love that set of like super quick and easy things that we do all the time, but we can use them in order to stimulate the vagus nerve and help the belly essentially feel better.
And to actually say to yourself, I'm going to sit down and do this creative thing as a healing for my gut or as a healing for my body, and really recognize that you're doing that, because that is what's happening.
I love that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you. Wow.
You're welcome.
Okay. So I know that you've got a meditation that you're going to walk us through that can help us kind of do exactly this. And so for anybody who's listening, follow the meditation as fully as you can. And then
it's an 11-minute meditation, so it may not be something where we're practicing it today, but I'm going to give you the steps.
Awesome.
And my email is drlarry@theenlightenedgut.com.
Awesome.
And so you can email me and I can send you the meditation instructions and you can do it at home.
Fantastic.
And this meditation, which Yogi Bhajan taught back in the 80s, is called Meditation to Alleviate Your Stress.
Okay.
And he taught especially that this is a great one to do in the evening. He says, here's a quote from him. He says, when done in the evening, to wash away stress, quiet the mind's noise, and create a profound stillness. And just to mention, this is another wonderful benefit of yoga and pranayama, is that it's nice to take a moment after these exercises and really feel what's going on in your body. Do you feel that calmness? Do you feel more relaxed? Do you feel stressed? Just noticing it, because yoga can be an amazing vehicle to create body awareness or to cultivate body awareness. We call it body wisdom. And the more you do these types of exercises, these types of body awareness exercises like yoga, the more you're able to start intuitively trusting yourself. And you can use this in making health decisions, or in deciding, should I eat this, or did this food feel good in my body? You know, very often we just eat. We're checked out, you know, an hour or two later, we're feeling weird. We don't even know why, what's going on. And so this allows us to start to go inward, to start to notice the feelings in our body, and to start developing that intuitive body wisdom to make wise decisions for our healing.
Awesome.
So whenever we practice Kundalini Yoga, there's a tune-in that we do. And it's a ritual that starts our Kundalini practice. And I will include that if you request in the email. It's called the Adi mantra, or protection mantra. And it's Om Namo Gurudev Namo. And it's repeated 3 times, chanted 3 times. I'll do it once right now. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. And we chant that 3 times. And what that Adi mantra means is that we acknowledge the teachers that have come before us, and we recognize the teacher within. So it's done before any practice in Kundalini Yoga, and it's just a beautiful grounding mantra. So the meditation to alleviate stress. So we start by sitting upright. We have our chin slightly tucked in, our chest slightly up and opened. We're going to be doing the Gyan Mudra, which is thumb and pointer finger together, other fingers straight up. And we're just going to be letting that rest on our thighs or on our knees. And we won't be closing our eyes because you're watching me continue. But when we do the meditation, our eyes will be closed. And we begin by inhaling through the nose in 8 equal strokes until we reach a full inhalation. So using my hand to kind of simulate that, you inhale 8 strokes, and then exhale forcefully out the nose. So inhale in 8 parts. And exhale forcefully through the nose. And we are going to do that. We'll set our timers for 11 minutes.
Awesome.
Sometimes beginners who've never done Kundalini Yoga or Pranayama or whatever, we can say start at 3 minutes or go from 3 minutes to 7 minutes. There's a lot of numerology in Kundalini in how we integrate this into our nervous system.
Okay.
So let's say we set our alarm for our timer for 11 minutes. At the end, when the timer goes off, we take a deep inhale, hold the breath for 5 to 10 seconds, and then exhale through the nose forcefully.
Okay.
And then we take another deep inhale. We hold the breath for 10 to 15 seconds while rolling the shoulders like this. Exhale. Inhale again. Hold for another 10 to 15 seconds. This time really rolling the shoulders back quickly, as fast as you can. And then exhale and relax. Keep your eyes closed for a moment. Feel your body, feel what's going on, feel the sensations, and just take a little moment to just experience that calming feeling before you open your eyes and continue with your evening.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I did a little preview of this the other day when you emailed it to me, and I may have done the 8 in breaths and 1 out 5 times. And then the ending sequence. And I felt difference. I felt a difference in my body. And that was like a tiny, nowhere near even 3 minutes worth. What, is there any negative that's going to show up if we only do a tiny bit? If we only have the attention span for 5?
No, not at all.
Okay.
As long as in this particular meditation, as long as you're doing the tune in, the meditation, and then the ending breaths with shoulder rolls, I think that the timing isn't quite as important, although, it is prescribed at 11 minutes. But there are so many pranayamas that could just be done just sitting on a bus or on the fly that just involve creating that parasympathetic response.
Right.
There's a meditation that's very popular now. Dr. Weil is teaching it, and Deepak Chopra, where you inhale for a count of 4, hold for a count of 7, and exhale for a count of 8.
Okay.
That's not particularly a Kundalini yoga meditation, but it is a meditation for slowing down.
Yeah.
And they say that the body follows the breath and the mind follows the body. So anytime we can slow the breath, focus with the breath, we are slowing down the mind.
Awesome. That leads me to my next question. As we're doing this, what are we thinking about? What's the most important thing to do? Are we counting?
It's whatever works for you.
Okay.
The nice thing about these yoga techniques is that you can focus on the breath, you can focus on the inhalation, and you can focus on the filling of your lungs, you can focus on the counting, you can have your eyes are closed, you can focus on the brow point, the third eye, you can focus on energy coming through the mudra.
Okay.
So the most important thing is that you are present.
Okay.
And anything you can do to attach your mind to not go into that monkey mind discursive inner dialogue is really what it's about here is, or one of the major benefits of this is that you are present and aware, and you have all kinds of anchors and things to focus on to stay in that present aware place.
Right, because if we are in the monkey mind place, we are in that place that's creating the stress in our bodies again. We're counteracting what we're trying to do. Okay.
Usually that monkey mind is either the regrets of the past or the worries of the future, and it's all about creating that sympathetic arousal, that sympathetic nervous system arousal. So that's what we're trying to get away from, is calming the mind, focusing the mind, working the breath, stimulating the vagus nerve, and really creating a nice space for healing.
So I can see this being incredibly useful in all kinds of times throughout the day. So if your belly is having trouble digesting lunch, like this would calm things down, and I noticed that myself the other day. But even if you wake up in the middle of the night and you can't go back to sleep, this would put the body, like, adjust the body into the more relaxed state, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
And so anytime we're jacked, this simple practice of 3 minutes, if you can get there, 11 is better, can, like, without you having to try to calm yourself. Telling yourself to calm down is generally so ineffective. But breathing can kind of set your body over into that place of more relaxed and calm.
Absolutely.
I love that.
A wonderful thing to do before eating. Maybe, even just taking 5 deep breaths before you dive into your meal.
Love it.
And after eating for 5 or 10 minutes, take a break, take a few more breaths, getting you slower and calmer so that you're eating more aware and slower. Right. The first thing I ask clients when we start is, are you a fast eater or a slow eater? And that tells me so much about where we need to start. Right. I'd say an enormous amount of benefit in digestive issues and illness can be remedied simply by slowing down our eating.
Wow. Okay. Because again, just to recap the whole thing here, you're stimulating the vagus nerve, which brings the body into a state where it actually has the wherewithal, the energy to digest.
Absolutely.
Okay. Wow. That's awesome. All right. We are about out of time. Are there any parting thoughts that you want to kind of put out there that are really important to remember as we're doing this, or any last ideas?
An exercise I did that was really helpful for me in my journey with Crohn's disease is to say to just sit down and say, what are the blessings of this? Wow. What are the blessings of this IBS? What are the blessings? It's a radical question.
Yeah, it is.
And when I was first asked of me to look at that, I was just pissed off.
Oh, yeah. My dukes are up.
It's like, what are you talking about? I've been suffering with this my whole life.
No kidding.
And it took a while to get to that place of saying, well, this is teaching me. What is this teaching me? How is this helping me to help others? And so it's a wonderful journaling exercise to explore. You don't have to come up with answers right away, but it gets put in the back of your head, and it really creates this shift away from how is this challenge making my life miserable to how is this challenge enhancing my journey and my destiny in life.
Wow. I love that. I've had microseconds of asking the question of what did 10 years of Lyme disease give me? And obviously, I've become a healer as a result of it.
Right.
But I have not actually taken the time to sit and journal, get into the creative space, because it would be very healing for me if I did, and ask that question and come up with, I know there's a lot in there if I were to ask it. I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
for leaving us with that. Awesome. All right. So for those of you who are watching, if you want the meditation for yourself, comment down below meditation and Larry will get in touch with you. And one other thing that I would love to hear from all of you is do this practice and then come back here and tell us how it felt. I am going to do this practice when we get off of the phone here, and I will comment what I noticed. Check in on your body when you're done, and then come back here and let's have a conversation about what happens when you do this. What are you missing? The big thing about all of this is you go home and try to do it yourself and nothing happens, or you get frustrated, or you can't get into the space. So let's have that conversation here on this page and start making this work for all of us. And then the last thing is, like our Healing Invisible Illness page, every Friday all year long we are doing interviews, and we are putting tools out there for you to begin finding ways to heal your own body, to get out of that place where you have to just go to the doctors and take what they give you and hope for the best. There are ways that you can change what's happening in your body fast. So come here, be here every Friday, check in on Healing Invisible Illness. We have so much to offer. And thank you so much to Dr. Larry Frater. I have loved this interview, and I appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Carrie. It was great to talk with you.
All right. Much love to you. See you all next Friday. Thank you for being here. Bye-bye.